sway them. But I mean, what can they say? Well, nobody was there in, opposition, so why wouldn't we, move forward with it? So again, just like we've encouraged with going to the school board meetings and board commissioner meetings, it's really important that we go to city council meetings. And if there's an opening for any of these positions, we need people to run for them. Yes, Loretta?
So on the website, it'll actually say when these people's terms are ending. And then also, if anybody is interested, you can look on our Telegram site. I did post the 5 people that voted in favor of this without heeding the mayor's advice and at least having some meetings, discussing things before just moving ahead. So I do have that list, but I did want to also point out, so Brian, I think it's
Prouts.
His goal is, so the mayor's term ends December of this year. His goal is to run for mayor, and he is the one that started this whole process. So I just thought I would let you know that.
Yep, so that's something to really be aware of. I don't live in the city of Roseburg, but for anybody who does live in the city limits, watch for those openings on city council and all of that stuff, and start going to the meetings. I mean, I don't live in the city of Roseburg, but obviously it impacts me, so I go, yes.
Loretta, is it possible to start a petition to recall him before he
Actually, Olga, that is a great idea, because what it would do is it would put attention on it, and it might make
Yeah.
it so that it would hinder his ability to
Yes.
become mayor, because there are tons of people in this community that are asleep, and they don't know the fact that he's the one that started it, and was working. Right.
And in fact, didn't he kind of, Clay, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he try to use his virtuous feelings as kind of a reason as to why he was trying to do this all-inclusive? Yeah, his moral compass was guiding him to move forward with this all-inclusive Pride Month celebration for Roseburg. So anyways, yeah, we got to pay attention to that stuff, and we have to have people run for those spots. Yes.
What I did find out is that thing he posted, the Trevor Project, if that's where he's getting his information, they've got it's an advocacy group that is seeking to put transgender issues all in the schools and everything. So his sources, that's what he used. And so
Well, maybe we should send him some other sources.
yeah, he said we're going to have an open discussion at the city council. And I'm going to hold
Okay.
we're going to do it.
And Clay, what about speaking to the fact that so many of the youth commit suicide? That there's a big, could you speak to that?
There's so much information coming out now. Whole countries are turning away from the blockers and all the other stuff. There's a backlash that's already started because some of the medical community is finally saying enough. And there's enough data coming out to be able to prove it. And so this to me is a challenge on science. We've got to back up to the basics on this. And we got to get back to where we don't conflate gender with sex. You know, you can have a social construct, but you can't deny the biological reality. The International Swimming Association just banned any male who went through puberty from swimming. That's not as far as it needs to go to reestablish the biological reality. But we have to engage this and try to do it in a loving, respectful manner. I do not want us to be conflated with the other church that showed up there and the techniques they use in town. And that's just a personal thing on my part. I won't take that avenue.
Right.
We need to speak the truth in love and reach out to the kids because we're losing kids. There are numbers of 4,000% increase in transgenderism within a specific age cohort. We have the research, and I don't think Brian's aware of it. He will do that.
Yes. Let's get him their information. Yes.
I know a lot of you people don't watch Fox News and for whatever reason, but Pete Medjug is a Saturday morning host on Fox and Press. He just came out with a book about the miseducation of America and about how over the last 100 years they have destroyed our education and what can be done to revert some of this stuff that's going on. And I strongly recommend it.
What is the name of the book?
Miseducation of America.
Miseducation of America.
Yeah. In fact, I'm going to look into trying to get that book.
Maybe Coalition should start a library, Olga. Okay, so anyways, yeah. Yes.
Who has the knowledge
I'm not sure how many too.
Get online to the city council members and you'll see when their term ends.
Yeah.
So the mayor's term ends December of this year.
Kylie Rimmel, I think.
Yeah, hers ends. I know that Brian's doesn't end until 2024, end of 2024, and then Andrea, is it Andrea? She doesn't end until 2024. So,
So how do you get into run? Like how do you?
I don't know that. I don't know that exactly.
Probably have to check with the city or elections office. Well, yeah, that's the first thing is you have to live in the city limits, and then there's like some criteria. Olga?
So as far as the recall, it says in Oregon, every public officer in Oregon can be recalled.
Yes.
It cannot commence during the first 6 months in office, but no specific grounds are required. Time for gathering signatures is 90 days, so it's very possible. And then we should definitely do that before he applies for mayor.
I agree. Find out how many signatures we need. We'll get more petitions out. We already talked to Olga, we already talked earlier during election integrity about ways that we can collect signatures with all the different gatherings this summer through music at the park and the little festivals and the outlying towns and,
Together, Olga, and
yeah.
we could actually have both petitions there and have people sign both of them.
For the county fair.
Well, now for Loretta's initiatives, those have to be turned in by August 10th. But we have farmers markets, we have the music in the parks at Roseburg and Riverbend, and we have Glide's having a festival in July, and Myrtle Creek has Summerfest. I don't know when Sutherland's is. It might not be too late for the recall for city council. So anyways, Olga will put that on our agenda for things to do.
Does Winston still have the Melon Festival?
Oh, they have graffiti, and graffiti's coming up. There's lots of things coming up for graffiti, events they have all over the place, and the arts festival. So let's get it going.
There's a family safety day that Costco does every year in July.
We need somebody to volunteer to head up, maybe gathering all the dates and times of all the different events of Douglas County. If anybody's interested in doing that, let Janae know in the back. Somebody who's just willing to go through like all the different, like I said, the different festivals, where the farmers markets are, what days and times. And then people who are interested in going out and helping get signatures, coordinating on those events. If you're already, yes?
So the recall, what steps do we have to go through? We did it in Winston. So
Right. Well, I don't know if it's the same. I'm sure there's possibly some similarities, possibly some differences. So Olga we'll start looking into that.
I got a 19-page manual from the Oregon State website, so it should be good.
Okay, so we're going to look into that, and we're going to get moving on that action item, upcoming action item. Okay, so again, city council, important experience. I tell my kids when they show animals, and even if they have a terrible experience, it's always a good experience because it's learning. So most of you, pretty much everybody here is our election integrity group that was already here, so you already know basically what we talked about. But basically, if you've joined us since we started the election integrity group earlier, we have a group of people who are on fire for and ready to get moving on uncovering our election issues, getting to the bottom of them. So if you aren't aware of what's going on and you're interested, for everybody, we have the clipboards in the back for the different committees that we have. In the top of the page, it'll say which kind of group, if you want to sign up to either be a part of the committee or a volunteer. Also, with that is our fair booth. So if you haven't signed up to help out with our fair booth, what our plan there is that we want to have a booth at the fair, a coalition booth, but something that provides information on Moms for Liberty, other grassroots type groups in the state. We have information there for them. Coalition propaganda, like, hopefully t-shirts and stickers and stuff like that. And a couple of laptops, hopefully for people to look up their voter information and get some of that voter information out, whether it's the fraud that we're finding or the anomalies. Hopefully we have quite a bit of information gathered by then, and we can put it in some sort of a form to give out to people walking through the fair all week long. So we'll probably need some people who are able to help set up and maybe take that down and then basically kind of man the booth during the fair. I think the fair hours, this year the fair will be open Wednesday, August 10th through Saturday, August, I think it's 13th. and I believe they're open hours. I think that, we would probably have somebody in there from like 10:30 till, I think the fair closes at 10 or 11 on those days. It might be like 10 earlier in the week and then 11 the last couple nights. Anyways, so we're going to have it very simple for whoever's kind of manning. We got it, the air-conditioned room, right, Olga? The air-conditioned building? Yes. So corner, so we have more, more area to cover. So, huh? There should be internet access, yes. Yeah, there usually, yeah. So we've got some big ideas for the fair booth. So anyways, we're just hoping to promote all sorts of stuff that basically we cover within Coalition, again, like the Moms for Liberty, the election stuff. We might have some preparedness there, if Tina's able to get her group together to get some stuff together for that. So if you're interested at all in helping out with that, the fair booth sign up is back there. We're also going to potentially need some, well, we had to come up with what, 475 was it, for just to get the spot for the week, the booth, Olga? 475? It's okay. 475 for the spot? Yes. Okay. So Coalition is paying $475 for the spot, and I imagine that, we're going to have some other maybe setup fees associated that we're going to have to, if we have stickers made or cards made or,
You would have to pay for your ticket. We get a few tickets to get in, but I think there's usually maybe 10 or 12 tickets. But it's a small price to pay, and you get the discount for being a vendor. I think they're maybe $6.
Yeah, I think that Dan, the fair manager, is trying to get some more options to get people out there. And I imagine they'll still have the fair bus running because parking is ridiculous. I don't know if they give parking passes.
I think we get one.
Okay.
Pass around, but
Yeah. So we'll have to work that out. Yeah, and if Coalition is able to get some more money together, we could, with some donations, we could buy some more parking passes or day passes. It's crazy, so totally unrelated, but this is how bad the fair is. My 4-H kids, to go to the fair, it used to be if you were enrolled in the fair to show an animal, you got a fair pass for free to get in and out because you're spending all sorts of money and you're out there all week long. Now we had to pay $10 a pass. Well, then Dan, who came in as a fair manager, he trying to get people to come in, open it up to kids 12 and under, could get into the fair for free, but not if you're in 4-H. If you're in 4-H and you're under 12, we still have to buy the fair pass for the extension office for them to raise their money that they need for funding their program. So anyways, it's totally unrelated to this, but interesting, I thought, story. Anyways, so that's it for election integrity. You all pretty much are caught up on that stuff. And if you haven't signed up or you're interested in helping, get on the list. And I'll tell you what else about that. This election fraud, integrity, all of this stuff, this is something. And it's going to be something, it's already something that's going to be in the history books, one way or another, right? However it pans out, it's going to be in the history books. And right now, we're all a part of this. We're all a part of this, whether you're actually helping on election integrity or just coming and listening. And there is a lot to be said for being a part of something. When you're a part of something and you have that, community with people and you're working towards a cause, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think that, in retrospect, everybody's going to look back and they're going to remember this time, and not just for the fact that something huge in our lifetime was taken on, but that you did it with a large group of people who were just previously strangers, right? I didn't know Todd, I didn't know Larry or all these people, but, now we're, family in a sense. And so anyways, I really believe this election integrity thing is going to turn out to be something huge in our American history, and I think everybody's going to be glad to be a part of it. So, yes?
That letter that Terry wrote, or the editorial
Uh-huh.
that she put in, I've had people read it, and they all get pissed off. And I'm thinking if we had a public relations part where we made sure those letters kept getting out there, rewritten, looked at from different perspectives, would get the anger going. Maybe we could.
We do. We have a well, I think that might fall more under our publications. Do you think? I mean, we can certainly we have a public relations committee too. So we can, try to get that out some ways too, but our publications, Todd and Terry can work on.
Great. I mean, my friends read it and they get pissed because it was clear, it was concise, and it allowed people to see the problem
Right.
rather than just, nickel and dime it or talk about this little piece or that little piece. The article put it all together.
Right.
Incidentally, if I could,
Yeah.
put a plug in for the Beacon. Hey, you guys, the Beacon is actually working with us. This is really sensitive stuff we're doing here. I mean, this is an amazing thing that we're into here. This could damage people's reputations. We don't know where this is going, but the Beacon is actually working with Terry and I. They have been on printing editorials about election fraud in Douglas County. It's really amazing. So anybody you can tell that the Beacon is actually working with us on these things, and put a plug in for the Beacon. It's amazing that they're opening the door to us to really have an interaction with the public.
I submitted to multiple places. There's only 2 places that will take anything. Most of these little newspapers are corporate owned. You don't know who they really are until you go up the corporate ladder, and usually they're on the left.
She's she's saying that she sends all of her articles out to multiple different outlets for printing, but there's really only 2 that will print her articles. So if anybody has a contact or a source somewhere into another outlet that may publish or get that information out, let Terry know, or Todd.
Don't worry about copyrights or anything. It's free.
Yep, they've got good information, good articles. And on that note too, I don't know, probably most of you here have heard, but the GOP in Texas just drafted a resolution after watching 2,000 Mules saying that they don't believe that the 2020 election now is legitimate, and they don't believe that Joe Biden is the legitimate president of the United States. So I know it's just the GOP. It's not like, my father-in-law called me at 7:30 his time this morning and all excited, and I think he thought it was the legislature in Texas, and I was like, well, it was the GOP, but it just takes a few groups, right, to start out, to start off the domino effect. And the same thing here in Oregon with Douglas County. We could, with other counties, start off the same thing. So that's why this stuff is so important. And I know it's disheartening that you don't, you talk to people about it and maybe they don't believe it's real or don't believe that, maybe there are people who have a lot of the same issues we have with things, but they're like, oh yeah, I don't buy into election fraud. You can't let that get you down. You got to stay the course and maintain. Yes.
On the election integrity note,
Mm-hmm.
there is a meeting in Kansas that's happening right now with election integrity in Kansas. Anybody know what happened in Kansas last week? The cabal is fighting wherever they're having election integrity, and it's in the news. Remember the 2,000 cows died?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. There was a little bit of, huh?
Kansas. This is happening in Kansas.
Yeah, I know. I did see that, but I also saw a lot of reports that might have been New Mexico, and it might have been a couple of years ago. I mean, it was one of those things that I wasn't sure, because I did see that too. It said 3,000 cows, and it shows the video going along the highway where they're stacking them up. It happened somewhere at some point in time, I believe. So I just don't know. Huh? Well, I don't know. I saw, and it did say Kansas first, but then I saw somebody else posting that, no, actually, that was New Mexico a couple of years ago, so I don't know for sure. Yes?
Did your phone not tell you about the whole thing what the GOP voted on in Texas? I mean, it was a long list.
A long list?
It went on about life begins at conception, and I mean,
Oh, really? So it wasn't just about...
people can't be anything about the gay and lesbian theory and lifestyle.
That was all from the Texas GOP?
I've got the whole list on my phone.
So look into it. Look into the Texas GOP resolution from last night. I think it'll be interesting. So I do have to backtrack a little bit. Loretta had asked me, she sent me on that City of Roseburg stuff. There's the city charter. Let me see. I got to pull it back up. Gosh dang it. So apparently the City of Roseburg has a committee to review our city charter. And it's made up of a few of our city council members, Andrea Zielinski, Sherry Muthart, and Bob Cotterill, along with Mike Baker, Sheila Cox, and Jeffrey Weller. And they're going to evaluate our current charter, which has been in place since 1982, and recommend changes to the council. In the meeting, the members will look at the charter review process that is planned and decide whether to stick with the current city charter or change to a model from the League of Oregon Cities. So meeting will be held, the first meeting is Wednesday at 4 o'clock. I assume, because of the post, that it's a public meeting, and it's held at the city chambers, where I believe our meeting was the other night. So that's interesting, and something also to keep an eye on if they're going to change our city charter. Because I don't remember exactly what the wording was, but Olga, do you remember when we had our little save it, or whatever, we had a Zoom meeting where I'd reached out to multiple people in different conservative or grassroots type groups across the state, like Parents' Rights in Education, Maskless, Southern Oregon Maskless Women, the Second Amendment people, Ornery, or whatever, the Timber Unity people. Anyways, every possible group I belonged to on Facebook or on Telegram, I'd messaged individually. And I think we ended up having like 20-some people come on a Zoom meeting from across the state, didn't know any of them. And there was a guy, I thought in Jackson County, was it? Do you remember, Olga? He was talking about how he was working on the PCP thing, but also they were working on something to do with the city charter and how cities are trying to change their charters. And I have to go back and watch it. But anyways, there's something specific about the city charters that they are trying to change wording on to get out of something. Do you know what it is? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's what they're kind of focusing on, so that she can actually continue to be city manager, even though she's been city manager.
For a long time. Well, so there's probably multiple reasons for it, but that would be something if there's anybody who's available on Wednesday at 4 o'clock to go to the city council to hear that charter review. And then I think next on our list is Janae. Where's Janae at? Janae with our Moms for Liberty and school board updates. Janae. Janae has your action items for the night.
There's tons of action items. I mean, the whole bar thing is full all the way around the corner. So looks like there's lots of signups for volunteer for different committees, and I highlighted them in orange so you guys could see it a little bit better. So just look at the top in the orange. Look for the orange first. But I put also another form for anyone that hasn't joined or wants to join Moms for Liberty. Good news, I finally got through and we're totally approved in Douglas County. Second, so I thought I was being an idiot because technology-wise, I mean, yeah, I'm okay, but man, I couldn't, their thing wasn't working. Well, she didn't turn my email on, the tech gal. And, just like all of us, we're all volunteering our time, and so is a lot of the people at Moms for Liberty. They have little kids, and, we're just like running all the time, running from your job, running home, making dinner and cleaning and picking up stuff and then hurrying up like I was, printing out stuff and going 80, getting here. So, but anyway, 2 of the action items I brought, I was on Telegram the other night, and I was actually searching for, I can't remember what word I'd put in, but anyway, something about education. And it said education freedom for Oregon. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. I clicked on it. And it is a group, I think they're from Eugene, but they're, look like a pretty new group, and they're doing 2 petitions they're hoping to get on the November ballot. And the chief petitioner happens to be Mark Thielman. So I was like, right on. So he's working with a gal named Donna Kritzberg. So the two of them are the petitioners for these two. So in the back, there's 2 petitions. I don't know if you guys have signed petitions before, but there's a certain way. So I signed them, and I think a couple other have signed them. So just make sure you follow, you sign it, then you put the date, and you have to put the date exactly with the slashes and 22 for the year, and then print your name, and then your physical address if you are all registered voters, which I'm sure most of you are. So the 2 petitions are, one is school choice that we've been fighting for and asking about, but who better to have on it than Mark Thielman, who knows a lot. And I think, I know legislatively he's helped write a lot of legislation trying to get it passed. So the other one is open enrollment. Open enrollment is basically, a lot of times schools will close down and say, no, you can't, come in. And let me see if I've got the wording here, but by those petitions, I did print out information if you guys want to grab something. So I printed out like 10 of these. So if you want to take one, I also printed out extra petitions. They're the ones that have 10 people, okay? So if you guys know how to do it, take one, call me if you get it filled, because there's a time constraint. They're trying to get 2,000 petition signatures for both of those by the end of this month. So I think they started like at the beginning of May, maybe when this started to come through. Had I seen that, I would have already been on it. But the second petition is called it's an open enrollment. So I'll just read it to you real quick. It says, parents whose child is not subject to expulsion or suspension may choose to enroll their child in any age-appropriate public school in Oregon, including charter schools. So a lot of schools won't let you just enroll into if you're not in their district. So they're gonna do probably brick and mortar type schools, and also all the online schools that you can get into is what it's trying to do to keep it fair. And the money is going to follow the kids. Do you know how much a kid's worth in Oregon? Who knows? A little bit lower. $7,600. Yep. But hey, that's $7,600 that could follow our kid if you have a child or a grandchild or somebody in public school to go to a charter school or go to a private school. It can go on. It can even be used for homeschool. He's got it in there. So that's great because, curriculum costs money to all of us. Yeah, so I was excited to see Mark Thielman on that he's the chief petitioner. So.
Is this a new one that he's put out? Because there was one that he had going last year, but it got rejected. So is this a brand new?
It must be a new one because it's going to be, it says, it'll be on the ballot November 5th, this coming November. But 2,000 signatures is nothing for it's all of Oregon. I mean, come on. There's easily 2,000 people around here we could scrounge up and send in. But I think right now they're about 20% because if you have Telegram, go to Education Freedom for Oregon, and they'll even show you how much they've already reached of what the petitions have been turned in. So if you guys want to sign up or if you guys want to take one, let me know. There's extra ones in the back. I printed up, I think, 9 pages, and they have 10 people each. And if they're all gone tonight, then I'll just get my own, and you guys call me, and I'll figure out how to meet you, and we'll get them mailed off to just the Donna gal in Cottage Grove is where it is. So anyway, I went to the GOP has a group called SOS. Did anybody here go to the SOS meeting? Okay, and so Jasmine Geyer is on the Winston School Board, and I think she's a member of our group here. But anyway, she's kind of like heading up this group. Dick Hurd is there, and he's kind of running it. But they're gonna we're hoping for Moms for Liberty to kind of, join together with them because they're kind of doing similar things that we are, where they're sending out 2 people, at least 2 volunteers to every school district. Same thing all of us have been saying, 2 people go to school districts, kind of listen in, see, what you can find out. I mean, good, bad, whatever. Find out if they have openings on budget committees. Find out if they have like school board vacancies coming up. I mean, you guys can just ask simple questions, without, causing anybody to, think who are you or whatever. You're just asking, honest questions. But that's what the SOS is going to it's called Save Our Schools for the GOP. And so I went to that meeting, and they sounded like, we can work together. And they're just trying to get their group together and get everybody on board. And the summertime, we still have school board meetings, guys. So just because it's summer and we're out there planting our garden or taking care of our garden, don't forget about those monthly school board meetings. That's the SOS. Let me tell you a little bit about Roseburg School District meeting. I did go to theirs. I always go to the Glide ones, but I went to Roseburg's just to see how they run it. And they have 2 budget committee vacancies. So the meeting I went to, they had Keith Kubik was there, and they were having him on the committee for 3 years now. So they said there's 2 openings, so if anybody's in the Roseburg School District, hey, go put your application in. I looked on their website to see if there was something printable. I don't think there is. I think you have to actually go to the board and email the board, and I've got the email here. If anybody wants it, just bug me afterwards. I'll give it to you. But they talked about how their bond failed, just kind of the simple highlights. They were the 2 guys that were the head of the bond. They were up there giving, there's a sad story about why did it, they couldn't understand why it didn't pass. They had $120,000 in advertising money. They only need $40,000. They made $120,000, so they thought already with that 123 times the amount, oh yeah, we're gonna have, enough signs out. And granted, they had signs out, but they figured out through the elections that a lot of people that have kids didn't even vote. It was 29%. And the biggest population, of course, was over 65. Well, then they figure out, well, a lot of over 65 people, they don't have, a kid in the game. So, and I don't know if you guys read Dr. Streit's, his column in the News Review. He was the football's team doctor. I worked for him. He's a bone doctor. But when I saw his name in there, I thought he was going to, get mad that the bond didn't pass. But, he actually told the truth in there, and he said why. He said people vote with their pocketbooks. And he's like, you're asking, a lot of the older people, they don't want to. They don't want any more taxes. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it came as a shock to these 2 guys that they lost by 2,000 votes. And, we all kind of know, I kind of was sitting there inside going, yeah, the whole elections all the way across the board is pretty much seems to fit that pattern. So I don't know why they were so shocked, but, that's another story. So anyway, I'm just letting you guys know, just to try to get involved with your schools, just even if it's going and listening. You don't have to ask questions, but I will tell you they did choose their health curriculum. Roseburg School District did. They picked the Great Body Shop. And so I went to that review, and I had my brother and his wife go to it, but the Great Body Shop is the one that has those extras in it that have these reinforcement activities that are in the back of the book, and they said they're not going to use those this year. But those reinforcement activities, one of them was labeling all the reproductive parts scientifically, but we're talking for K through 3. And I said to the review, the curriculum gal, I said, so is there a picture in this book that has the reproductive parts? And she says, no, that's the problem with some of those reinforcement activities in the back of the book. It's kind of like a gray area. So yes, a teacher might say, okay, kids, today we're gonna, label the parts or talk about the parts, but then where is she gonna get her pictures from? That's the part where it's gonna get real, tricky, is we don't know where, and so that's what they're worried about. And so apparently this next year they're gonna get teachers together and kind of go over those reinforcement activities and pick which ones they say they're gonna use the following year. But I'm just letting you guys know, Ann Kremitz, she's on the Roseburg School District as one of the board members, and she emailed me after it was over, and she said, I was kind of sad that no one asked any questions of why they chose it. I didn't know how I got there right at the time it started, and I don't know how their questions, in Glide, you have to fill out a yellow card before it starts. It goes to the front, and the board chair reads they read it all before you even get to speak. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to fill out anything because I got here late a little bit and I don't know. But I guess I could have just said anything. I could have went up to the microphone. So she said, I'm surprised no one said anything about it. She tried to kind of get people involved, but there was only like 10 of us there in physical presence. And out of the 10, I'd say maybe 3 of us were just there to listen. And the rest had it was like your principal, the high school, Joe Weber, some students and stuff, so.
My name's Danielle, and I'm principal.
Yeah.
And also have a small business in town. A tutoring center working with kids. So kids is a huge priority for me. Oh, thank you. Okay, I have a tutoring center here in Roseburg. So kids are a huge priority to me. And I did go to school board meeting last year one time because right after that they shut it down and said, oh, no, we're going back to Zoom and you can't go on to Zoom board meetings. But the one meeting I did go to, they did open it for questions at the beginning, but they only gave you a very short time to ask a question. But if you have questions about what they're discussing, you're not allowed to ask. And what I saw was they were spending exorbitant amount of money on things that didn't matter, like an awning for the high school gym and a new camera system. And between those 2 items, they came to about $300,000 that they all voted to spend. Okay, as a small business owner, where we work with kids, getting them ahead in math, reading, and writing, give me $300,000, and you will see how far I can jump kids ahead. But they're just spending it on worthless things. So when I saw that, and there were a lot of people at that board meeting, everyone's just shaking their heads and asking questions, why are you spending money on this? And the board kept going, you don't understand. You just don't understand how the economy is and why we have to spend this kind of money. This is nothing compared to what other schools are spending. So they don't. Yeah, but it was because we got kicked out. There were a lot of people there, but then after that, and I didn't know if they started meeting in person again, but Janae, obviously they are.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many months they've been. Sheila, if she was here, she'd know how many months, because I did the same thing. I went on to a Zoom meeting, and I just kind of watched it a little bit, and I don't know. It isn't. It isn't. And so, when she's talking about the spending, that was Dr. Streitz. He said that in there. He goes, first of all, you guys asked for AstroTurf. He goes, is that like a necessary thing right now? So he was getting them. And I was like, go Dr. Streitz. I mean, he was, being honest, and he was saying probably what was on a lot of people's, you don't need to spend that on awning. But you know what? Now, what happened at that meeting is the bond didn't pass, right? I had the notes here, it was like $700,000 to have modulars put in because the Heritage Building, the main building, it's the oldest building that's there still, it's unsafe. Now, yes, I don't think it's been deemed unsafe, but if there was an earthquake, lots of people wouldn't make it out. And so they voted on that board meeting to borrow $700,000 to buy modulars, because apparently the modulars are already built and ready to be put in place now instead of on the back burner, because we don't know, with the economy, when something's going to get built or when parts are going to get to you. But the other thing was they needed $16 million. Part of that bond, that $134 million bond, $16 million was dedicated strictly to safety issues of the school district. That means fencing around every single elementary school, middle school, and the high school, and putting those lock safety doors on that are like magnetic, and then hiring safety officers. Because we all know that, SROs are hard to find. I mean, Glide got ours taken away February 24th because Roseburg Police Department needed him back to to be here. So what they decided, because Rod Cotton said, I'm not leaving here tonight until we get this figured out. We've got to get whatever money we have right now, we need to put it towards safety issues. So it was pretty heated for 45 minutes about going back and forth of what they're going to do. So they decided that they would use their $8 million of ESSER funds, and they had $3 million in their savings account. And so then they went back and forth on that. Well, I don't want to use the $3 million, because what if we need something else? And we need a pad. And he's like, no, we need to. So they are going to use $11 million of that to put fences around Green, and Sunny Slope already had some bids put in, so, yeah.
I wanted to say, how dare them talk
And you were an IA? Were you an IA? IA for which school? Okay. What's your first name? Samantha. So Samantha is saying that she worked for Roseburg School District as an IA, and because of the vaccine mandate, she was trying to be forced to either get vaxxed or get the religious exemption, but both she didn't do. Yay. We're on the same team. But at the same time, Roseburg's talking about, money and money problems, and she's sent out a FOIA to Roseburg School District to find out what monies they've spent, and they're not answering her call. And so she's gotten a hold of what's that? Yeah, the Freedom of Information Act. And so you got a hold of the State Attorney General, made a complaint. How long ago was that? 3 months. So the AG has not responded for 3 months? Okay. Yeah. So the school hasn't done it for 3 months, but you just turned in the complaint. It's about 2 or 3 weeks old. So anyway, I guess that's what I can tell you guys. Yeah, I had the numbers for every single school and school district in Douglas County that got ESSER fund, but I don't have it with me. Yeah, because they're the biggest school district, I'm sure they got. I mean, obviously we know they got 8 million. So if you guys realize when the schools get this ESSER money, they have to set 20% of that amount aside for kids to catch up on learning, whether it be tutoring, extra days at school, like on Fridays. Abby and I have talked about that at our own school district. They try to do tutoring like on Fridays, or it doesn't seem to work out for kids because they're in sports. And so I don't know how long they're gonna hang on to this 20% if they never use it for that, but that's specifically what that's for. So anyway, mm-hmm. It's against, isn't it an ORS? You think you gave us that? Yeah, so that masks were illegal. According to ORS, you gave me the number, but it's in the Oregon Constitution. So let me give you a little update on Moms for Liberty. Boy, when they say that you volunteer 10 hours a week as the chapter chair, they're not kidding. So just to get approved, I had to do all this stuff, which is a good thing. But, and kudos to them, they are super organized. I mean, I was reading stuff last night about the colors that they picked that represent certain things, like the navy blue is, I don't have it in front of me, but I mean, it was strict. Like if you're gonna go and put the logo on something, it can only be this kind of font. And I was like, holy crud cakes, man, these guys are like, I mean, don't cross, anything wrong. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have, you guys probably already seen my red binder. That's strictly for Moms for Liberty. I'm gonna have to get one like that deep now. But I was on their chapter chair Zoom meeting Thursday night in the back seat of my car in the McDonald's parking lot because I was almost out of battery for my phone, and I had free Wi-Fi there at the McDonald's. And I was in between jobs. And they're a good bunch of women that are volunteering their time just like you guys. And I would just want to say thank you to all you guys for coming here and you guys volunteering. And I know we're all on the same team and that we're all upset about a lot of the same things, but I just want to say thank you for you guys coming and putting your names on committees and petitions and things, because that's what makes this world better. I mean, we're trying. I know we are all trying, and at least we can walk away and say, hey, we did some action items tonight. You know, we signed our names to some stuff that hopefully in legislation or, you know, by being at the fair booth, that we would connect with other people, that we would connect with all the people that are like us. Because I don't know how else we're going to wake other people up. I mean, I don't know. So, but anyway, okay, Moms for Liberty, a few things that were really cool. There was a gal from Maryland there, and they passed a resolution on their school board. So I don't know if they have a conservative school board. That was, it's, okay, so one was flag policy. So you guys, how we talk about the pride flag being in our schools. Newburgh was one of them who fired their superintendent, and then because of, they didn't want the pride flags in the classes. So they have a policy that was passed. It's called flag policy. And you know, it's kind of cool how Moms for Liberty does it. They're not going to go and point fingers at schools and go, oh, you have the pride flag in your classroom. What they're going to do is turn it around and be positive and saying, hey, do you guys know if all your teachers have like a U.S. state flag in their room? Because if you don't, we will provide you guys for one, you know, in your room, instead of going, you know, kind of turning it into a, you know, slash and, you know, kind of conversation. So I thought that's pretty cool how they're going at that. They also...
The only flag that is allowed is the United States flag. That would
And I think that's, yeah, and I think another school district passed that too. But these were Maryland, Virginia, and Washington people that were on. And another one was a parental rights resolution that passed by a 5-2 majority. So obviously they had conservatives. That was, they're not gonna like be masking their kids. So there was some really interesting, neat stuff to hear from. And there's a couple more chapters, sounds like, heating up in Oregon that are gonna, I think there's 2 or 3 more chapters that are coming up. So anyway, if you guys want to sign up, I'm going to email everybody when we're going to have a meeting, because there's still some steps I got to set up the Facebook page, and then I got to invite you guys. Your members are already uploaded that have already signed up. They're in there, but there's just still some more steps that I've got to do before I want to have a meeting, because then we're going to talk about our bylaws and all that stuff. So anyway, just keep praying, you guys, because this whole transgender thing is bigger than what we can even imagine where it's going to go. Right, Clay? It's a, I don't know. Yeah. So I'll give it back to Jeff.
What's heterosexual what? Yeah. You know, I don't get it. Yeah, I've seen the memes. It's better that we would, why would we acknowledge those who have fought and died in our military for a month before we acknowledge who we're attracted to? And I'm all for freedom. Look, knock yourselves out. If you guys want to do that, I'm not. In fact, if someone wants to be hateful and be, you know, do something evil when people are outside for one day celebrating who they are attracted to, look, okay, call the police, throw them in jail, but a whole month, and what? I mean, come on. So, all right, in any case, we're closing. We're not going to do emergency group preparedness. The next meeting is probably going to be July 18th, I think. And there will be an election integrity gathering before then. And because that one is an ongoing project, we are preparing for the fair. We're doing all kinds of other things regarding election integrity. So be on the lookout for notifications, and we'll keep you posted. Samantha? Yeah? Yes. Well, the Douglas County Citizens General Meeting is at 6:30 here. But the election integrity meeting, that notification is going on. And if you aren't already getting information about when maybe that group gathers, please talk to, would you be the one? There's an email list. So the election integrity group is, I guess, talk to Todd or talk to Larry or whoever it is. Terry. Yeah, communicate with Terry. That would be good. All right. Thanks for coming tonight. You're dismissed. Have a good week.